She's gone, he's in, and she is back. I'm Genevieve Redgrave, this is Easy Politics, and this is Andy Burnham's cabinet. So Andy Burnham was picking his cabinet yesterday, and Rachel Reeves, who was previously Chancellor of the Exchequer, has been sacked, or she has left her post, we should say, because rumour on the street is that she was offered another big job. The second rumour on the street is that was the Home Office, but we don't yet have full confirmation, which she turned down. To be fair, anything less than Chancellor, the only promotion is really Prime Minister. Everything else sort of seems like a demotion to most people. So I'm not too surprised she didn't take it. She was also very closely aligned with Keir Starmer and his government, so maybe just thought it's time to move on and set a different path. And she has now been replaced by John Healey, who was previously the Defence Secretary, but resigned a few weeks back over Keir Starmer's defence spending plan, and essentially said that not enough money is being put towards defence, which is very interesting because he's now got the money. And so whether that plan is immediately scrapped will be very interesting, because if you've been complaining that not enough money is going towards the military and you've got the money, surely more money's got to go towards the military then. So we will have to wait and see, but it's very likely that that plan might be scrapped up quite soon. Other than that, we don't really know how he might sit on other types of spending. We have seen this morning they've already scrapped a VAT on energy bills, particularly electricity bills, which most people in the country have as their main source of energy. Now, they're saying this will cost pretty much the same as the digital ID plan, but that's only costed up until March, I believe. So actually for the full year, it's going to be a lot more expensive than that. And the average family will only save around £45 over the year. But it is a big announcement on their first day. So whether we see other measures like this over the next few weeks coming out, we'll have to wait and see. Shabana Mahmood is staying as Home Secretary. People thought she was going to become the Chancellor. Whether she was offered it, we don't yet know. But people also see it as a good thing that she's staying as Home Secretary because she seems to have got a hold of the brief quite well. It's typically an office that Labour get a lot of flack for and something that they don't seem to do that well in. But she seems to have really done quite well, and she's quite good at communicating what she's doing, which I think helps. Immigration numbers are coming down, and so people quite happy that she's staying in that role. She's seen as quite tough, which I think helps in this brief, and so she's staying on. Now, Miliband has got a big promotion to Foreign Secretary. He's quite closely aligned with Andy Burnham, so it doesn't come as too much of a surprise that he's got a big role. People were also suspecting that he might be in the running for Chancellor as well, but he is Foreign Secretary, which is a big promotion. He was previously in the sort of energy brief. How he's going to handle some relationships will be interesting to see, particularly Donald Trump. They have a very different style. And obviously Miliband has a big experience in sort of energy and sustainability, which doesn't align that well with Donald Trump. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Andy Burnham's first call yesterday was actually to Donald Trump, and there's been rumours that they're changing some things around the North Sea oil and gas licenses and potentially exploring new licenses as well. So whether we see a bit of a shift of policy to align a bit more closely with Donald Trump, we'll have to wait and see. But he is obviously quite closely aligned as well with the EU and was pro remaining in the EU. So whether we see kind of that continuation that Keir Starmer started of trying to improve relations with the EU, quite likely in my opinion. Oh, Wes Streeting, Mr. Health Secretary, well, sort of, he resigned previously to try and get Keir Starmer out, but he has now moved to Defence Secretary, which I think is a surprise to a lot of people. He made a lot of ground in that health brief, so it's interesting that he's been moved to defence. He also doesn't scream defence to most people. It's not something that he was that outspoken about, so it's an interesting move. Yvette Cooper actually gets the health brief, which I think comes as a surprise to a lot of people. She was most recently Foreign Secretary under Keir Starmer, but has obviously been a huge figure in the Labour Party over the last few decades. So I'm not too surprised she's in the cabinet in some form. Now, big is Angela Rayner coming back, who was Housing Secretary and Deputy Leader of the Labour Party under Keir Starmer, and then had to resign over tax affairs on a second home. I have a lot of videos on it if people want to go watch, and I'll try and pin them. But she's back. She essentially got cleared of wrongdoing by the Standards Committee, and so it sort of left a door open for her to return, either in the leadership contest itself, which she sort of brushed away, but she is now back in the cabinet in that same brief. She seemed to enjoy it and seemed to be making kind of good ground on it, but Andy Burnham has made a lot of comments already about building more council homes and improving the housing supply, so this could be a very big brief under his government. Now, Lucy Powell is coming in as the Education Secretary, replacing Bridget Phillipson. Now, Lucy is the deputy leader of the Labour Party and sits on the left of the party. Her and Keir Starmer didn't have the best relationship. They had disagreements on a lot of things. So it's interesting that she's now in this cabinet. But just to run through some of the other appointments, I don't want to go into everything, it's so long. Bridget Phillipson is becoming the Equalities Minister. Lisa Nandy is remaining as Culture Secretary, which I think is a bit of a surprise to people because she kept putting her foot in it on multiple occasions in some sporting stuff, some stuff on the BBC, some other elements of how broadcasting works. So it's a bit of a surprise that she's staying in that role, to be honest. Alex Norris is coming in as Justice Secretary. Heidi Alexander is Transport Secretary. And Miata Fanbele, apologies if I'm not pronouncing that right, is the Energy Secretary. But she was working on that brief anyway, and so has good connections there anyway, so kind of makes sense for her to stay in that. Pat McFadden is Work and Pension Secretary, and then Jonathan Reynolds is Business and Trade. But actually, interestingly, they've merged Department for Innovation and Technology and Science into the Business Department, and so expect a lot on, if we're going to put innovation through the economy, we're integrating it into one sort of thing. Kind of very likely. So a lot of shuffling around. Not that many people are staying in the cabinet or staying in their brief. We had some big departures like David Lammy. Who else? My brain's gone dead. We've had a lot of movement, let's say, and so interesting moves from Andy Burnham.